You're watching Just the News. I'm Amita Balachandra. I'm standing in for Faye today. Let's get straight to it. Right on top of the bulletin is the warning that's coming from the government. Union Health Secretary Rajesh Bhushan in a press conference has said today that the second wave of COVID in India is not yet over. And he's warned ahead of the festival that people should follow COVID appropriate behavior and embrace vaccination. He went on to say, and I quote, mass gatherings should be discouraged, but if attending it is essential, then full vaccination should be a prerequisite, end quote. The Union Health Ministry has also informed that 16% of the total adult population in India has been fully vaccinated against COVID-19. Now, nearly 54% of the total adult population has received at least one dose of the vaccine, according to the government. Meanwhile, India has seen its daily COVID numbers jump by nearly 12% as compared to yesterday, and the country has reported 47,092 new COVID cases, the biggest single day rise in 2 months. About 509 deaths were recorded during the past 24 hours. Kerala's numbers, however, remain worrying still, with 32,097 COVID cases in the last 24 hours. Now, it's been reporting more than 30,000 cases for the third straight day in the row and is the worst hit in the country. Meanwhile, Karnataka government has revised its COVID protocol for travelers from Kerala, exempting a set of people from the mandatory 7-day institutional quarantine. Now, the earlier rule had said that all those coming from Kerala had to be under institutional quarantine for 7 days. Now, the revised protocol has exempted constitutional functionaries, healthcare professionals, and their spouses from institutional quarantine. Now, the order said that apart from them, children below 2 years, people in dire emergency situations such as death in the family or if there is medical treatment, short-term travelers, students arriving to Karnataka for examination along with one parent each and go back within 3 days, and passengers in transit from and to Kerala via any mode of transport have been exempted, and this is according to a report from the Deccan Herald. Moving away from COVID news now, according to PTI, police today used a water cannon to disperse a group of farmers who allegedly tried to force their way inside the venue of an event of the Shiromani Akali Dal in Punjab's Moga, which was being addressed by its chief Sukhbir Singh Badal. Now, Moga Superintendent of Police told PTI, and I'm quoting him, "We warned them several times, but some protesters resorted to pelting of stones, after which police used force and a water cannon to disperse them. They had also blocked the national highway near the spot, which later was cleared." End quote. Now, SAD President and MP Sukhbir Singh Badal was addressing the function in the grain market when protesters allegedly tried to force their way inside. A protesting farmer told PTI that they have been holding protests at the borders of the national capital for over 9 months now, but political parties were, and I'm quoting him, more concerned with power and only shedding crocodile tears for peasants, end quote. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court on Thursday expressed concern about fake news being spread over social media platforms and web portal, stating that they exhibit no accountability. Now, a bench led by Chief Justice of India N.V. Ramana was hearing a batch of petitions seeking directions to the centre to stop dissemination of fake news and take action against those responsible for it. Now, the bench noted that, and I quote, "Web portals are not governed by anything. There is an attempt to give communal color to news, and that is the problem. It ultimately brings bad name to the country," end quote. It further said, and I quote, "There is no control over fake news and slandering in web portals and YouTube channels. If you go to YouTube, you will find how fake news is freely circulated and anyone can start a channel on YouTube," end quote. To this, the Solicitor General Tushar Mehta responded that the new Information Technology Rules 2021 seek to take care of this. The centre's plea seeking the transfer of all cases challenging the IT rules in different high courts to the Supreme Court was also listed along with the same petition. Now, the matter will be heard in 6 weeks, according to different reports. Moving on now, the Ministry of External Affairs today said that India's immediate focus is to ensure that the Afghan soil is not used for terrorist activities directed against it. This comes 2 days after the Indian envoy to Qatar held talks with a top Taliban leader in Doha. Now, MEA spokesperson Arindam Bagchi said India used the meeting in Doha to convey its concerns over the possible use of the Afghan territory for anti India activities and to bring back the remaining Indians from Afghanistan. Now, referring to that meeting, he said India received a positive response. Let's now take a look at what else is making news across the world, particularly with a focus on Afghanistan. According to PTI, Pakistan has temporarily closed a key border crossing with Afghanistan, apparently due to the fear of an influx of refugees. Now, Geo News, citing several sources, has reported that Chaman border crossing, which is the second largest commercial border point with Afghanistan, has been closed due to security threats. Now, meanwhile, CNN has reported a stampede at the border crossing as thousands have been trying to flee the country since the Taliban takeover. In the meantime, according to Reuters, Taliban forces and fighters loyal to local leader Ahmad Massoud, who fought in Afghanistan's Panjshir Valley today, and each side has said that it has inflicted heavy casualties in recent days of combat in the last province that's resisting Taliban's rule. Now, following Taliban taking over Kabul, Afghan rebels have been holding out in this particular province. Efforts to negotiate a settlement have appeared to have broken down, according to Reuters, with each side blaming the other for the failure of talks as the Taliban prepared to announce a government. Now, Taliban spokesman said that the group's fighters had entered Panjshir and taken control of some territory. However, a spokesperson for the National Resistance Front of Afghanistan, a grouping of rebels, has said that it had full control of all passes and entrances. Moving on to news from the world of business now, India and the UK have agreed a new tie-up to finance inclusive, resilient and sustainable infrastructure in India by harnessing a public and private capital to meet the country's low carbon goals. Now, it's called the Climate Finance Leadership Initiative India project, and the aim of the project will be to drive the capital into India through public, private and multilateral initiatives to help the country meet its 2015 Paris Agreement commitments. Now, Finance Minister Sitharaman said, and I quote, "We expect that the platform would be able to mobilize private capital at scale into climate and environmental sectors, particularly green and resilient infrastructure," end quote. On to news from the world of sports now. Indian shooter Rahul Jakhar signed off 5th in the P3 mixed 25 meters pistol SH1 event of the Paralympics today. The 35-year-old Jakhar was eliminated at the end of the 7th series in the finals after qualifying second with a score of 576, which included 284 in precision and 292 in the rapid stage. It is by far his best international performance. Now, we leave you with a bit of a positive news before we end this bulletin. Akanksha Kumari has become Coal India's first woman mining engineer to work in an underground mine. Now, a CCL statement has said, and I quote, "Akanksha Kumari becomes the first woman mining engineer to join CCL. Our women employees have been shouldering responsibilities ranging from officers to doctors to security guards and even running heavy machines like dumper and shovel and have excelled in each role. However, this is the first time when the core mining activity of one of the biggest coal mining companies of the world will witness this progressive change. Akanksha is the first one to work in an underground coal mine," end quote. We wish Akanksha all the very best. With that, it's a wrap here on the news. Thank you so much for watching.